feel like every console has their own feel or aesthetic to them, something that just reminds you of a certain era of history or even your own life. The GameCube is no exception to this rule. I really don't know what it is about it, but while playing it, I get a sort of homey, cozy kind of feel, and it's hard to describe. I think this is because I didn't have a GameCube of my own growing up until I was 15, but my aunt and uncle had one when I was growing up, and whenever I spent a night there, me and my cousin would play it. So in a way, the GameCube reminds me of their own house and of them, and I know this is off topic, but they lived in a place sort of out in the country, not quite though, so their house had a very woodsy smell to it, and every time I think of certain games, in the back of my mind, I swear I can smell that smell. I used to think that's what gives the GameCube this warm, cozy feel for me, but now I've realized something. It's the games. They all pretty much have this aesthetic, and combining that with the nostalgia I have, it really makes for a great time replaying these classics. So how about I get off this tangent and list what are, in my opinion, my top 10 favorite GameCube games. Number 10, Metroid Prime. Yes, I know, it's criminal for me to put this so low, but you have to realize it, I'm not really a huge first-person shooter guy. You see, I grew up in a very, and still live in a very, how should I put this, boomer town, I guess. Pretty much everyone here believes that a lot of stuff is evil, like Pokemon, SpongeBob, Avatar, anime, and you guessed it, first-person shooters. And I guess I've had so much of this mentally pushed on me, but I still have a hard time enjoying them. But Metroid Prime is the exception to this rule because it's a freaking masterpiece. Along with the rest of the Metroid franchise, it completely isolates you. There's no NPCs, no towns or villages, and no other characters other than hostile aliens trying to kill you. Another thing Prime does fantastic is item collection, as whenever the player gets a new power-up or weapon, the first thing they're gonna do is go all over the world and look for barriers they can now get past with it. Combat is handled right as well. Switching between attacks is painless, it's easy to get used to, and enemies' weaknesses are pretty easy to figure out. The only problem I have with Prime is that it can be a little bit too difficult at times, both in terms of being too cryptic and bosses being too tough, but I probably just suck at it knowing me, and unlike pretty much any other game on this list though, it's actually affordable, going around 30 to 40 bucks, so I'd recommend it to anyone looking for a good cheap title for their cube. Number 9, Mario Kart Double Dash. Ah yes, I remember this one well. It's the number 1 game me and my sister played with my cousin when we spent the night over there at their place. Unlike most of her Mario Karts though, I say this one stands out among the bunch for one huge addition, double karts. You got one guy in the front who's driving while the one in the back uses items. Yeah, I know it's kind of pointless, but it's still fun. Outside of the whole double character thing, it has all the essentials of a Mario Kart. Mario Kart Grand Prix, Battle Mode, Free Racing, Banana Peels, and Time Trial Mode, which if you know anything about me is my favorite thing to do in a racing game. This title isn't lacking in the amount of courses either, 16 in all, and every single one of them is awesome, except Rainbow Road, which has gotta be the weakest rendition of Rainbow Road in the whole series. If you're someone who's played 8 and think the rest of the series has nothing to offer, give Double Dash a shot, because I'd say it stands out the most from the rest of the series. And I'm so glad I finally got my own copy of this, because in the first top 10 best GameCube games videos I made in 2019, I didn't have a copy of this, or Pikmin. I had to borrow footage from other YouTubers. But speaking of Pikmin, number 8, Pikmin. Ah yes, the series everyone knows about, but nobody has actually played. Like the rest of the franchise, Pikmin 1 is a real-time strategy game, where you play as Captain Olimar and use creatures called Pikmin help find all the parts of Olimar's ship so he can return to his planet before his air supply runs out. The main gimmick of this game is using the Pikmin to solve puzzles, retrieve items, and fight enemies. You can have a total of around 100 Pikmin altogether, with there being 3 different species, red, blue, and yellow, which each have a unique ability. Red Pikmin are immune to fire, yellow Pikmin can carry bomb rocks, and blue Pikmin are immune to water. Using the Pikmin is so much fun, it makes you feel like you're a kindergarten teacher guiding children across the street. Well, That is until your entire squad gets massacred by a bull boar, but what can you expect? However, the game does have one downside I should let you all know about. There is a time limit. You have 30 in-game days to retrieve at least 25 of the 30 parts of your ship, or you die and have to start the whole game all over again. So yeah, that sucks. But if you get one part a day and maybe get a video guide just in case, you should be able to beat this game without too much difficulty. And while making this video, I am currently playing through the game for the first time in years because I finally just got my own copy, and hopefully I can beat it this time. Unlike when I rented it from the video store as a kid when I only got to like day 10, and then I quit, so wish me luck everybody. Number 7, Animal Crossing. Most games on this list so far have a main storyline to complete, which is the goal of the game. And while Animal Crossing does have a few goals to complete, like expand your house and make money, for the most part it's completely up to you what you want to do. You can choose if you want to fish, decorate your house, make friends with villagers, or dig up fossils to donate to the museum. I really like this about the game, and it makes it a lot more inviting to come back to an old save file and see how your old town is doing. Speaking of which, whenever a new game is started, the town is randomly generated, so there's no way you're ever going to have the same town twice. Villagers are also unique with each save too, and you start off with 6 random villagers picked randomly from a roster of over 200. These villagers play a huge part in the game, and you can become their friends by doing various chores for them, like delivering packages to other villagers, selling them stuff, and getting fruit for them. All these features help to make your town feel like a living, breathing small town somewhere out in the country. But one downside with Animal Crossing is it's a bit too real. The game takes advantage of the GameCube's internal clock and uses it to determine what time it is. Play it in the morning, it's morning. Play it at night, it's night. Play it in June, it's June. Play it in fall, it's fall. This is cool, but it comes with the consequence of your town getting screwed up if you don't play it for a couple of months. So if it's been years since your last play, just set the GameCube's internal clock back around the last time you played it. But overall, I'd say the pros outweigh the cons, and the original Animal Crossing, while not as content-filled as the successors, is still a lot of fun. Number 6, Mario Party 4. Yes, I know everyone is gonna get ticked off I put this above a lot of other stuff, but you have to consider all the weird stuff I've done on this channel, and wonder if I'm even mentally stable at this point. Anyway, Mario Party 4 is a great game to play with friends and family, being jam-packed full of content. You've got party mode, story mode, option mode, minigame mode, bonus mode, 8 characters, 6 boards, and over 80 all-new minigames. Not only that, but each board has its own host. There's Toad's Midway Madness, Shy Guy's Jungle Jam, Goomba's Greedy Gala, Boo's Haunted Bash, Koopa's Seaside Soiree, and Bowser's Gnarly Party. The gameplay is like the rest of the Mario Party series. You roll your dice and move across the board to collect coins, buy stars, and play minigames, with whoever having the most stars at the end winning. The minigames are pretty fun in this game, and while they might not be on par with Mario Party 2, I still have a lot of fun. It's also worth mentioning that this was the game that introduced a Mega Mushroom and Mini Mushroom, and not New Super Mario Bros. Like most people assume. The story mode of MP4 is basically you play each board against computer players to try to get presents from the hosts. Mario Party 4, in my opinion, is the last classic installment in the series. Not that the rest are necessarily bad, but they just don't quite have that feel or essence like the first 4, and most people on the internet seem to agree with me. However, when it comes to the next entry, nothing can be further from the truth. Number 5, Super Mario Sunshine, also known as the literal embodiment of summer. I mean, everything is either summer themed or water themed. The gameplay is quite simple. You just platform like any other Mario game and use your new gadget Flood to squirt everywhere to clean up goop, defeat or stun enemies, and hover around the ground for a few seconds. There's a few power-ups that can enhance your Flood too, like the Turbo Nozzle, which lets you jet forward, and a Rocket Nozzle, which lets you jet upward. Now that I've explained the gameplay, I guess I should talk about the internet's opinion of Sunshine, which is that nobody likes it. And a few that do don't like it nearly to the same extent as most other Mario games. And while I admit I'm not a die-hard fan of Sunshine, I really like it, as much as most other Mario games. It's a very misunderstood title, with a lot of flaws and mechanics that take time to get used to. Still though, using the hover nozzle just feels so good! Oh yeah, and a rocket nozzle too. Oh yeah, and the turbo nozzle, well, not so much though. Now, some might say it wasn't a good idea for Nintendo to make a whole game of one of their flagship franchises all about water, but I disagree, and this isn't the only Nintendo game from the early 2000s that's water-based. Number 4, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. This is one of my favorite Zeldas. From the beautifully aged cel-shaded graphics to the sheer amount of ocean to explore and navigate, this game makes for a great experience. There's just something about sailing in Wind Waker that makes me both excited and relaxed at the same time. There's so much to explore too, more than virtually any installment in the Zelda franchise except for Breath of the Wild. And as much as I like Breath of the Wild, the places to explore in Wind Waker just feel a whole lot more real to me. As it says in the title, a big part of this game is an item called the Wind Waker, which is the successor to the Ocarina of Time, and you can use it to play songs, to do various things like change the time of day, teleport, or change the direction of the wind to sail faster. Then there's the cel-shaded graphics. Well, at the time, they definitely didn't do wonders for its reception. Now it's probably one of the best things they could have done, because they have aged so good. Number 3. Luigi's Mansion. I, along with many other people, love this game. When this masterpiece first came out, it wasn't received very well, but as time has gone on, it is now one of the most respected titles in the GameCube's library. You play as Luigi and have a new device called the Poltergust 3000, which you use alongside your flashlight to find and capture ghosts and return them to their paintings. The atmosphere of Luigi's Mansion is stunning. The mansion is vast and has so much detail that it feels like an actual mansion abandoned long ago. It's pretty much the opposite of Breath of the Wild. That game had vast areas to explore and a huge world that can be barren at times, but it makes up for it by the sheer amount of land to explore. Luigi's Mansion, on the other hand, is a short game, with only a handful of areas, but each area is unique, has an important role in the story, and is filled to the brim with detail. Heck, you can even use the Game Boy Horror to look around and examine the room even more. Seriously, the devs really went out of their way to give us the most realistic mansion possible, and they didn't have to do that. The mansion is also filled to the brim with treasure to collect, which only gives you a higher ranking at the end of the game that feels so rewarding to collect it. It just feels so good to get as many coins, dollars, and gemstones as you can find. Each ghost in the game also has their own lore and story behind them. It really makes you ask a lot of questions about the mansion that will most likely never be answered. However, this game is a little bit on the short side and will take you around 8 hours to beat. But the replay value of Luigi's Mansion is higher than almost any other game I've ever played in my whole life. But I feel like I've stated my case well enough, so how about we move on to number 2. Number 2. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. This game took the original Paper Mario and improved upon everything that made it great. Better and more varied gameplay, your partners having deeper personalities, and the game's story is way better written, and is filled with a lot of secrets and lore. The hub world of Thousand-Year Door is Rogueport, and it's filled to the brim of content, and feels like a living, breathing port city, and sewers lie deep below with even more things to do. The gameplay is very varied. You have the elements that were in the original Paper Mario, like your jump, hammer, partners, and star attacks, but this game introduced a whole bunch of new elements, like stylish commands, partners having help, paper abilities, super guarding, and so much more. The graphics are fantastic and have aged best over any other GameCube game, even Wind Waker. I also love how dark Thousand-Year Door is compared to other Mario games. There's demons, curses, references to death, boobs, and so much more mature content. But seriously though, how the hell did the devs get away with Flurry's boobs? I mean, I know she has no nipples, but as a kid, I didn't know that, and I thought that's what boobs really looked like. So yeah, that was awkward. I'm so glad my mom never caught me playing this game when I had Flurry out, or I probably would have gotten it taken away from me. One last thing though, every single major female character in this game has a crush on Mario. I mean, seriously. Peach, Goombella, Vivian, Beldum, Flurry, Miss Meowth, the rich toad lady, and a boo that runs Don Pinta's shop. Man, I sure wish I was Mario. It's for these reasons why I love Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door so much, but there's still one more game I love more. Number 1. Super Smash Bros. Melee! Okay, I had such a hard time choosing between this and Thousand-Year Door, but I ultimately decided to go with Melee because I like it just a slight bit more. I love every aspect of this game. The graphics, the music, the menus, the characters, the stages, the items, the gameplay, the collectibles, and everything else I didn't mention. Melee's soundtrack is amazing. You have tons of great remixes of songs from past Nintendo titles, but also a bunch of original tracks composed for this game. What isn't there to love about Melee? You have 25 characters, 29 stages, classic, adventure, and all-star mode, training mode, event matches, target tests, multi-man melee versus mode, tournaments, special matches, trophies collect, and so much more. But the thing that makes Melee so good is the gameplay. The gameplay of Melee is phenomenal. There's a reason why I keep showing up at competitions despite being older than me. There's just something about the gameplay that's so much fun. I can play this masterpiece anytime and have loads of fun. Melee is by far my favorite GameCube game of all time, and it will continue to be until the day I die.